I'm sitting here with Medea Benjamin, who is the co-director of Code Pink. We're at the Left Forum here in Long Island University in Brooklyn, New York. Iran's been in the news the last, years, but drastically increasing in the last few weeks. What can the American public do to combat this war fervor that we see in the Trump administration?
So first is to understand this is not a tit for tat, Iran did this, US did this, Iran did this. This is a manufactured crisis by Donald Trump. Things were going great with the Iran nuclear deal that was signed not only by the US, France, Germany, the UK, Russia, China, but also approved by the entire Security Council, of which the US is a part, and by the European Union. So it was an international agreement. And Trump comes in, just rips the thing up, and then imposes sanctions, not just saying, U.S. companies, we don't want you to do business with Iran. That's bad enough. But saying to the entire world, we don't want you to do business with Iran, and we're going to impose sanctions on your companies no matter where they are, saying we want to get Iran's oil exports down to zero. Imagine. So destroying the Iranian economy on purpose, thinking that somehow either going to make the Iranian people rise up, which it doesn't do, because the government will just come down and crush them, or saying that it's going to get them to the table, which it has not done, because they're saying, why should we go to the table? We've been to the table with you for years, signed an agreement, and you reneged on it. So I would say that we have to understand that Donald Trump has put us in this crisis and that he could easily get us out of this crisis. How? Lifting the economic sanctions and rejoining the nuclear deal. And you know what? Then Iran would be happy to sit down at the negotiating table and talk about other issues, talk about the other conflict areas in the Middle East, because Iran wants to solve those conflicts as well. Talk about really whatever the U.S. would want to talk about. Why do I say this? Because I was in Iran recently, and with a group of 28 Americans, we got to speak to the foreign minister Zarif, who is an absolutely brilliant guy. And he said, look, it was under the Obama administration that we decided we were going to engage in talks. And we said, all right, let's pick an issue. Let's pick the nuclear issue because we don't want nuclear weapons. So let's get that one out of the way. And then we can use that as a stepping stone to talk about lots of other issues. So the Iranians want to talk. It's the Trump administration that has messed this whole thing up.
What are your thoughts on people who saying, well, it's all Bolton and Pompeo orchestrating this, and actually Trump ran on an anti-interventionist platform, so I think he's the one who's like the adult in the room. What do you have to say to that?
Why did the adult in the room bring in Bolton and Pompeo? Why did the adult in the room rip up the international agreement that had been ratified now 14 times by the International Atomic Energy Agency? Why did the, quote, adult in the room create this crisis? So it's interesting, he had a interview on TV where he said, well, I have hawks and doves in my administration. I kind of like to listen to both sides. And then he named the hawk, and he said, John Bolton wants to take over the entire world. And we were all waiting to see, okay, who's the dove? Because you're not a dove. You're just a clever person who wants to go which way the wind is blowing and goes hot and cold. So there are no doves in this administration. Maybe the Pentagon will step up once in a while and say, I think war with Iran would be pretty catastrophic because guess what? We have bases surrounding Iran, which is great for us, except that it means Iran and its allies have a way to attack all the bases that surround Iran. And the Strait of Hormuz, if we have more ships being attacked there, guess what? It's going to affect the entire price of oil and the entire global economy. So there are more, quote, rational voices who are telling Trump, even like Tucker Carlson on Fox News, that this would be catastrophic. But they're not coming from Trump's hand-picked cabinet.
Thank you for speaking with me.
Thank you so much for the interview.